Hello and welcome to this second video of the Nanobench tutorial. So in the last video, I explained the general nanopublication ecosystem and I only pointed to Nanobench, but now we're actually going to start in this video to set it up. And then in the next video, I'll show you what you can actually do with it. So it's actually not too difficult to set up and start Nanobench, but I'll still devote this video here so to make sure you have no problems going through these steps. So first you can go to this, or you should go to this web page on GitHub. That is the home of Nanobench. The link you can find in the description of this video. And then you're going to find two installation instructions that you can follow, and I think they're pretty self-explanatory, but I'll go quickly through them nevertheless. So one is the regular installation instructions that ask you to download a jar file, and you need to have Java installed. So that's the recommended way. There is another installation instruction with Docker. That's actually easier and faster probably if you already have Docker installed and are familiar with that technology. So if you do, then this might be the right option, but otherwise I strongly suggest that you follow these installation instructions. In case you wonder why there's not an online version of Nanobench, there will be soon. I'm working on it, but at the moment there's only this way of running it by having it locally, which also corresponds more to the decentralized, to the concept of decentralization that the nanopublication ecosystem is based upon, because your local computer is then basically a node in that network, you could say, and you have your keys for signing the nanopublication. You have them locally, which is the ideal situation in this respect, but I'll come back to that. Now, when you go here, you're going to see that you need to make sure you have Java installed. Well, if you don't, you're going to find out later. And in many cases, you probably have that installed already. And then the next step is going to be to download the zip file of the release. And you have here a link. So make sure you download the latest release, which is at this point 1.51. And then you download the zip file here, not the other ones here, not the source code, but the Nanobench zip file. Okay, we do that. We download it somewhere. Let's now on desktop, in my case, just to show it. And well, then very straightforwardly. Oh, it's still downloading. We extract it here. And then you're gonna get these files. It's gonna look something like this. You have the jar file and then a number of commands: run and update. I'm going to show you what they do. Well, they will let you run Nanobench and update it. And you have the Windows counterparts that are run on the Windows bat and update on the Windows bat. Well, obviously, if you are on Windows, you should be using these two. If you are on any other system like Linux or Mac OS, you should use the ones, the plain ones. Good. So now we can start them. I think on Mac you should just be able to double click on run. On Windows, similarly with bat, and I'm here on Linux, and I'm going to do it the command line way. I'm going to go into the directory and then just type run. Now, when you do that, you're going to see a lot of messages here, and in this window that will show, just in case there's an error, it will show that too, some information for me to debug or for you to figure out what went wrong. So don't be confused by that. So you mostly don't need to pay attention to that. There's only the URL that's a local host URL that is pointed here in case it doesn't open up your browser automatically, which it should. So, but then that's what you're gonna see. Welcome to Nanobench, and you see that you're kind of asked to well, that you can now use these features here that we will gonna come back to later. Well, in fact, that's probably not what you're gonna see right away, because it will tell you to set up your account and will point you to this page that holds all the login information, basically, or the information about you yourself. Now, in my case, because I've used it before already, I just downloaded it, but my computer still has the data that it needs in order to figure out who I am. And all this data, that's something I should show you too, is stored in a directory that's called .nanopub, that is in your home directory, and that might be hidden, so you might not immediately see it. So if you cannot find it, make sure you have you make hidden files visible, and then you should see that. Now, what you're going to find once you've set it up completely, you probably have not as many files as I have, but you're going to have these two at least, the ID_RSA and ID_RSA pub. So that's the private and public key, respectively, that you are using or you're going to be using to sign your nanopublications. The pub one is that one, the public one, that's going to be published even to the nanopub network, so everybody can know and should know about that one. Whereas the private one is the one you should keep private, as the name suggests. And this is the one that allows you to sign. So only you can sign, but everybody else can see that the public key actually matches. It's advisable that you back up these two, well, in particular the private one, but I mean, they're not big anyways, right? But so it's advisable to back up these, so you can, if somehow they get lost, you can still claim your old nanopublications. There's no complete tragedy if it happens. We're not in a kind of a blockchain world where this is not recoverable, but still, it's better if you keep a backup of them and you keep it safe, so you don't share the prior one with anybody. Now, if you just ran it for the first time, you wouldn't immediately see this exactly like that. You'll be redirected to this profile page, and it shows you instructions here that you should just follow, that I think are pretty straightforward and self-explanatory. Just roughly what you're going to be asked is to add your ORCID identifier here. And if you don't have one yet, you should make one. It's a good thing to do anyway. So this is the ORCID page where you can get an identifier for that is a service for any researcher, and is now really universally, I would say, accepted and recognized as the way how we should identify researchers. Now, if you don't have an ORCID already, make one, add your ORCID number here. And then you will be asked, well, you can just press a button to make your keys, right? The key files that I've just shown you, and it will tell you here actually where to find it in your file system. So in case you can't find them, this might help you. It also shows the public key, because that's the thing that's going to be shown to everybody. Because in the future, there's going to be the option to have more than just one public key associated with your profile, but at the moment it's just one. Then you'll be asked to publish your introduction nanopublication. That's again just the push of one button, and you will actually publish the basic information, which is just your ORCID identifier, your name as it was retrieved from ORCID, and your public key. And it will publish it to the network I showed you last time, to the server network, as a nanopublication. So that's mine. We can click on it, and you see it looks like the thing that that I've shown you last time, with just kind of a slightly different content here in the blue part. So what it says, there is a key declaration. It's declared by somebody. This is me. It has an algorithm. That's just what signature algorithm is used. And it has a public key. That's the same thing you've just seen before, right? The thing that's generated when you click that generate keys button. And as a small additional information, it also has my name. So any interface can show my full name instead of my ORCID. And you're going to see that this nanopublication is actually signed with the same public key that I've just generated. So that's going to be the first nanopublication you publish through Nanobench. And then in the end, it will tell you everything is fine, but there's one thing to do that's good to do, is to link your introduction nanopublication from ORCID, because up to that point, anybody could claim your ORCID and say, hey, that's me, even if it isn't, right? So there's no authentication taking place at this point. The way how this is done is simply it asks you, or a suggestion, it's actually not mandatory, but it will be in order for your nanopublications to actually show up as trustworthy nanopublications, to have it as a link here, right? So you go to your ORCID profile and you add that link. You call it intro nanopub, and you make it link to the same introduction and publication I've just shown. It seems to be resolved now a bit slowly, but here it is, right? So with that, you can basically prove that you have control over your ORCID account, which is basically as strong as if you'd have to log in through it. And it gives everybody a way to figure out that you are actually the one with the ORCID identifier. Okay, and then in the end, it will look like this. It will say, congratulations, your profile is complete. And yeah, that's basically all what's needed to then work with Nanobench. Now, one last thing I can show you. You might wonder, how can I stop Nanobench again? And maybe one small thing I would like to point out. So when you follow these tutorials, you should check that you have at least version 1.51 installed. And maybe if you follow it later, you might have already a much higher number. Then some things might show up a bit differently than what they are in this video. So if you just follow the instructions, you're gonna automatically have this. But if you've used Nanobench before, you might wanna, or you should actually update it before you continue to follow this video. And I will just show you how to do that. Now, to stop here, you can press on Unix systems, at least you can press Control-C, and then it will stop. And here, if you refresh here, it will also show it has stopped. But you can also just close this window, and you might have to confirm, and then it's shut down. Now, to update it, you should go to this other directory that we've downloaded, this one, and now run update, right? So it goes the same as before, but now it's just update instead of run. And this should normally work. And in this case, there's nothing to update really. Well, it's not just updating the latest version, which we already had, and it says successfully updated. And then you can again click on run and start it up again. And basically, apart from this, from the keys, it doesn't store really any information locally. So anything you're going to be publish and store is all through the network, right? So this Nanobench connects to the decentralized server network that I've shown you last time. To start up, and in particular, I will show that later when you click here on publish, it sometimes takes a while. And if you check the log here, you see that it's connecting to all these services. And so sometimes they don't respond immediately. So that's something that's gonna get better and better. Well, on the one hand, Nanobench will improve to handle this a bit more smartly, but also the server network, as it gets larger and has more services that respond more quickly, this will turn into an advantage rather than a slight disadvantage as it is now, because sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but that's just the first time you load the page, and afterwards it's pretty fast because it's caching these nano publications. So I think that's all we needed at this point to have it to have Nanobench running. So now we're ready to actually do something with it and see what can be done with it. And that's what we're going to be doing in the next video. So I hope you've enjoyed this one. I hope you're going to watch the next one too. Well, thanks for your attention, and goodbye.